welcome to another lawnfawn video. Today we are introducing our brand new Stitched Hillside Pop Up die. This die is so cool because it creates an awesome three-dimensional hill pop-up for your cards. So let's go ahead and check it out. When I run this die through my die cut machine, I like to run it through twice. That way all of those embossing lines emboss really well so that it's nice and easy to fold. And here you can see the awesome stitching that it creates and the score lines so that you can fold all of the pieces needed to make this actually pop up. The first step is to fold along that bottom score line. So I'm going to fold kind of starting in the middle and then moving my way outside to the outer edges. And then I'm going to use my bone folder to score that really well, just so that there's a nice crisp line. The next step is to fold back the right tab. So you're just going to push down on that hill and it's going to score the lines for you. And then you can push down those two tabs there. And then there's two more folds right on the ends of those tabs. So you're going to push that down right along that emboss line and push that down there. And now all the pieces that need to be folded are folded. Now this die is sized for a 5.5 by 4.25 card. So I'm going to go ahead and score a card base right at 4.25. And then I'm going to add some adhesive to my hillside pop-up piece. So I'm going to add a ton of adhesive to that bottom flap, and then I'm also going to add adhesive to the back of those top flaps too. And I like to do that all now so that it's nice and easy to form this once I put it into my card. The next step is to take that bottom flap and line it up with the fold line of your card. And this is super easy to do. You just kind of put it right into that fold and line it up right against the back of the card, and it's going to fit right in there. And then I like to press that down and make sure that it's adhered really, really well. So the next step is to fold that entire flap now down, back, and flat against the card. And then you're going to push that right tab forward and push those tabs down. So I'm going to repeat that. I'm going to push this whole piece all the way down. Then I'm going to push that right tab in, push those pieces down, fold the top of the card, press really well, and when you open it, it's going to have formed the hills, which is so, so cool. Now these hills might look familiar to you, and that's because they are the same hills as our Stitched Hillside dies. So the great thing about that is you can coordinate it with any of our other hill dies that have that same exact slope. We make them all have the same slope so they're easy to use together. Now I wanted to create a sky for the card, the first card that I'm going to make here. So I'm starting with some Peacock Feathers Distress Ink, starting off of the card and then onto the card and slowly building that color up. And the reason I'm starting off of the card and then going on is so that I don't have any harsh edges. So I'm just going to build up all of that Peacock Feathers color, keeping it darkest towards the bottom. And then the top of half of my card is going to get tumbled glass. And that's because that's a lighter blue and I want it lightest up towards the top. And these are my two favorite colors for skies. I've been using them a lot lately. They just make me happy. They're so pretty. And I'm just going to blend along those edges. So I'll cover the edge between tumble glass and peacock feathers with peacock feathers and then switch to tumble glass and back and forth along that edge until there's a nice blended look and you can't tell that there was two colors used. Now we're going to start working with our hills. So I'm going to fold along that bottom line. Then I'm going to fold that right tab just like we did before, push those two tabs in, and then fold the tops of those two tabs. I'm not going to add my adhesive just yet because I want to work on forming the rest of my card first. I'm cutting some more brown plaid using my stitch tree borders, and I've also cut a leafy tree backdrop out of some brown cardstock. I'm layering those there to see how tall I want my trees. I'm going to make a little pencil line and trim those off. Next I need a card base, 5.5 by 4.25. So I'm going to go ahead and score that and then start adhering all of the base pieces of my card. So I'm going to adhere on the base of 5.5 by 4.25 piece of brown plaid. And then I can go ahead and adhere my sky, my trees, and then my big tree backdrop. Now the reason I've used all that brown plaid along the bottom and up the top of the card is I want my hills to be seamless against the card. And by using the same pattern paper as the pop-up hills, it's going to look that way. So you'll see now when I layer that brown plaid on there, it all looks like one seamless card. Now it's finally time to add my hills. So I've added some tape to the bottom of the base and I'm going to butt that in right into the score line of the card and adhere that down really well. Next, I'm going to add some tape to my little tab pieces here. So we're adding those to the back of those tabs. And what we're going to do is fold down that whole piece just like that. Then we're going to push in the right piece, push down the tabs, fold the card, push really well, and open it up, and our hills have been formed. Now I forgot to add the leaves for behind my tree, so I just pulled up my tree there, and I'm going to add that leaf base from Leafy Tree Backdrop and put that right behind the tree, and I just love that look so much. Now it's time to decorate this card. So I'm going to add a bunch of little leaves there to my tree. Then I'm going to put my fox from Jump for Joy jumping in my pile of leaves. And then I'll add the little rake to the owl from Jump for Joy too. And so I'm going to start positioning all of these onto my hills. So I've got my cute little owl there. And then I die cut and colored a bunch of little leaves. And I'm going to add those to the card just for some extra color. I also wanted my hedgehog to be in a pile of leaves, but I wanted it to be smaller than the full stamped one. So I just took a bunch of individual leaves and adhered those together to create a custom leaf pile. And last but not least, I had to add some leaves up into the sky too. Now next I'm going to be working on the front of the card. And I wanted to customize my sentiment. So I actually cut apart the For Your Kindness so that I could stack them both on there so they would fit really well on my die cut banner. So I'm going to go ahead and use my powder tool here to make sure that nothing sticks when I heat emboss. I'm going to stamp in Versamark ink, which is super sticky ink, and then add my white heat embossing powder to it. Next, I'll heat it up with my heat gun and I'll have a nice bright white bold sentiment for my card. Here I have some perfectly plaid fall paper and I've cut it to 1 3/4 by 12 inches. And I'm just going to fold it around my card to create a sleeve. So just like that, I'm going to fold it around. I'm going to add some tape to the two ends so that I can glue those together. And I'm using some nice strong tape so that it doesn't fall apart. So once I have those two pieces on there, I can peel off that liner tape and line the two pieces up. And I don't even have to measure where those fold lines are going to be. You can just use your card as a guide, which makes it nice and easy. Then I'm going to add some foam tape to my sentiment piece and add that to the top. And this is nice and simple, but that's what I like to do with pop-up cards. I want it to look nice and simple on the front. Then you're going to pull that sleeve off and be completely wowed when you open the card. And I just love it. Oh my gosh, I think it would just make someone's day to get this huge surprise in their card. So I'm just going to add that sleeve back on, and then it's ready to send to someone in the mail. And I just can't get over these pop-ups. Every time I open one of these cards, I'm just wowed, and they're so fun and really, really easy to make. So now that we've made a fall themed pop-up, I thought it would be fun to work on a Halloween themed pop-up. So I'm going to start by cutting some black cardstock with my Stitched Hillside Pop Up die, and then I'm going to cut some black cardstock with my forest border die. And because this die has that same hillside slope, I'm going to be able to layer these two together, giving this Stitched Hillside a cool and different look. So I'm going to layer that die cut hill right behind my hillside pop-up and make a little pencil line where I need to trim it off because I want to make sure that tab kind of fits right in between the trees. So now that I've trimmed off that piece, I can add a bunch of adhesive to the back of my hillside pop-up and layer that on there. And you'll see there, because of the way we lined it up, that tab piece is just going to push down one tree. And then here I'm just going to trim off any excess. So I'm getting a really cool look there now. Now, this forest border only goes in one direction. So to get it to go in the other direction, all you need to do is cut two pieces. So right now we've cut our first one, made our pencil line, and we're going to trim it. I'm going to add some tape to the back of the hillside pop-up once again and layer that piece on. Then to finish the next part of the piece, you just have to recut another forest border and line up the next piece to make that hill continuous. And no one's going to be ever able to tell that there was actually two forest borders cut. So here's my second forest border, and now you'll see I can take that end and continue that hill pattern. So now once I've got it perfectly lined up, I'll make my pencil line again and then trim off the excess, and this time I'm going to add some adhesive directly to the forest border and line that up right behind the hillside to create that continuous tree hill. And I just love the way this coordinates with previous dies, so you can create some really cool stuff like this. Now that we have those cool forest borders on there, we can start to fold this die. So I'm going to fold along that bottom tab, starting in the middle and moving my way out to the outsides. Then I can push down onto the right tab, just like that, and then push the top tabs down, just like that. Now I wanted to create a purple sky to go with this card, so I'm starting with Seedless Preserves, And then I'm going to move in to Dusty Concord. And I'm starting off of the cardstock and then moving on, just like I did with my blue sky. And then I'm going to layer the Dusty Concord on top of the seedless grapes, just to give it a little bit of more darkness towards the bottom. I also decided to bring in some chipped sapphire once again, just to add a little more darkness and richness. Now I'm going to cut the Little Town border, a brand new die, out of some black cardstock too. And I'm keeping this all black so that those hills look really seamless into the sky. Now I'm just trimming down some little tiny strips of yellow cardstock, and that's because I'm going to put them behind the houses to create kind of a glow look coming from behind them. And I saw Shari do this and I thought it was so cool and I really wanted to try it. So I'm just layering these little pieces right behind all of the houses, and then I'm trimming some slightly larger ones for the bigger houses there, the wider houses, and layering them all behind, and then trimming off any excess that you can see on either side of our die cut piece. And I just think it looks so cool. It really looks like the houses are glowing. Now that that's all done, I'm going to create my card base, which I'm going to use black cardstock once again and make it 5.5 by 4.25. And then I can start layering all of my pieces. So I'm going to take my sky with my houses and layer that on the back of the card. And then I'm going to take my hillside pop-up, add a ton of adhesive on that bottom flap tab, and then also adhesives on the little back tabs too. And once I've got enough adhesive on there, I can take it and put it into my card. So I'm going to take, once again, that little bottom piece there and butt it up into the fold of my card. And once that's in there perfectly, I'm going to push down so that it adheres really well. Then I'm going to push the entire hills back and down and then fold it. And you can see how quick that is and how cool it looks. Next, I'm going to add some decorated dogs from Happy Halloween. I just love those little costumes. And I heat embossed a little sentiment there on a banner too. And then this is an idea from my friend Lynette. I'm going to take the little bones from Happy Halloween and put them into the jack-o'-lantern. And it's such a cute look because it looks like the little treats for the dog. And then I'll just add some more adhesive to the back of those bones and layer the top of the jack-o'-lantern right on there. I'll add some adhesive to the back of that jack-o'-lantern and adhere that to the card, and you can see just how cute this is looking. Next, I'm going to decorate the front really simply. Here, 1 3/4 inch piece of orange cardstock, and I'm going to stamp the sentiment from Happy Halloween, no tricks, just treats on the front. And I want to keep the front super simple once again so that the inside is the star of the show. So right here, you can see it's got a great Halloween look to it and theme, but super, super simple. And then wow, you open it and it's this huge, cute scene that is just going to make anybody's day. I love opening these cards. I just can't get over it. It's too much fun. And so here is a look at the outside and the inside of the card. And then a look at both of these together. And I love how many looks you can get with this die. These are fall and Halloween, but you could use white hills for winter. You could do some cute spring stuff with green hills. So I cannot wait to see what kind of cool pop-ups you guys come up with. I know they're going to be so awesome. So thank you so much for watching today and have an absolutely amazing day. Bye.